This is just an old video. This is just something I am just cleaning out my old computer at the moment and just getting rid of all of my videos. So I just decided, well, why not? Somebody can probably enjoy them on YouTube or something. I have to warn, it's full of mistakes. It's just plagued with problems. And these are just videos that I just started doing before the top 288 Legend of Zelda bosses. So just a heads up, if you find problems, that's why. Alright, so anyways, I wouldn't really consider them entertaining in any way. These are just kind of my starter videos and what I used to practice on it before I started up my channel properly. They were on my channel at one point, but I just decided to take them down. So, alright, make of them as you will. And, well, hope you enjoy.
I waited for this moment. I am a sniper. Waiting is my job. Never moving a muscle. Concentrating. I am Longshot. You cannot save me. Please. Just finish me quick. I am a guard. I have always dreamed of a peaceful place like this.
A Gerd. So that's why you're called Wolf.
I was born on the battlefield. Raised on the battlefield. Gunfire, sirens, and screams. They were my lullabies. Hunted like dogs, day after day. Driven from our ragged shelters. That was my life. Each morning I'd wake up and find a few more of my family or friends dead beside me.
Bomberman 64 is the Nintendo 64 equivalent of Sonic the Hedgehog from the Sega Genesis. It's short, it's strangely charming and fun, and every playthrough feels somewhat spontaneous. What sets Bomberman 64 from other games like Super Mario 64 and The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time is the distinct level of exploration. After playing this game for several years, the exploration feels dated and scripted. Even after playing Bomberman 64 for over 10 years, I still find a secret hidden passage or two I didn't find before on each playthrough. Plus, with the search of the 100 gold cards on both difficulties, customizable multiplayer parts, and the addition of a 6th world I haven't even reached yet. Just wow. Overall, Bomberman 64 is something for everyone to enjoy, both for casual and hardcore players alike. Whether it be the epic boss battles, the exploration, the adventure, the multiplayer, there's enough exploding toys for everyone to use and abuse in this game.
So maybe you have 9 lives. But it doesn't matter now, Mr. Kennedy. I've sent my right hand to dispose of you.
Your right hand comes off?
Say whatever you please. Die, you worm!
Army Men Sarge's Heroes is most often panned for its controls and camera. To that, I say I agree with you. Sarge takes forever to bring his gun up to shoot it while standing still, and the camera will try mutilating your butt whenever it can. So why do I enjoy it? That's because those are the only cons, and I can work with finicky controls pretty well. There are fluid controls that work for me, and I know how to steer clear of the danger zone tactics and camera controls. What impresses me about this game are the ambushes and the many choices of weapons in your environment. Seriously, a single soldier wandering into enemy territory where soldiers can pop the heck out of nowhere to ambush your butt? Sign me up. It's challenging, it's spontaneous, and it really does give you the tension of a true one-man army game. Assassin's Creed is watered down to me. I was psyched about the first game, hearing how flexible you can get to pin down your enemies. However, as the series continued to progress, more meaningless crap started to get into the series. When I played the second and third one, I was using catapults, I was doing someone's chores, and the synchronization became... Plus, in the third one, you lose all flexibility to do things, and the characters such as Desmond don't interest me. Trees aren't that exciting to climb across either. Plus, the story is bland and uninteresting, now having turned itself into a worthless ripoff of The Legend of Zelda, using fortune-telling elements that I don't care about. The endings, the characters, and the linear roleplay days just aren't appealing to me. The quests are weaker too, even the assassin missions. Instead of climbing buildings watching your victims like Batman, now you've been demoted to a Tarzan role. Oh joy. This is a weird one to talk about. How I feel towards Wario is what I feel towards Mustard. I can explain to you why Mustard tastes horrible to me, but I can't help hating it. Same with Wario and the elements he has with his side-scroller games. I love the WarioWare games, having played a handful of games, but for me, that's where he shines with my fast-paced world. In the side-scroller series, he is definitely unique with his various rims and tricks, and you see this everywhere, such as Super Smash Bros. Brawl. He's got the comedic arsenal, and many find his unexpected antics to be bottoms up, if you know what I mean. For me, I just can't get into his humor. The songs in the game reflect his humor, the moveset, the puzzles, the grin he's always carrying. It's all there. Nothing bad. Just isn't for me.
I care not what happens to me, but please heed my voice. Sonic, come back. To me. To us.
Earthworm Jim 3D is a Nintendo 64 game I came across recently and started to play it, wondering why nobody talked about it since it is the sequel of the Sega Genesis games. Well, now I know. The original Sega Genesis games are famous and infamous for their comedic roles, such as the Slug 4-Butt boss battle and many other random funny bits that happen in their games. Yes, I did just say that. There is actually a boss called that in the first Earthworm Jim game. Earthworm Jim 3D isn't a bad game, but it could have done better with those who had expectations such as myself. The music, the sound, the characters just aren't there anymore. Instead, we were handed a bland palette of a platformer with large levels to cross. Seriously, all you had to do is enter a level, do missions, which often involve things like backtracking or go from A to B, and then rinse or repeat. The worst part is that you cross large sections of a level that take 15 minutes of little interesting activity. Just not fun. Not fun at all. As I said in Bomberman 64, I mentioned the broad exploration it has, and usually it's how well the side quest and exploration part shows how much the game developers care to make their video games real. There's a difference between leading the players from Tile A to Tile Z, and then there are those that hand you the controller and say do whatever the flip you want. If the reward is good enough, I'll gladly scavenge around to find the items or even find new locations. I admit it, I'm a sucker for exploring new locations because it makes the gaming world that much bigger for me to get into. Exploration games are hard to pull off, but when the pieces are set right and I want to take a break from the story, it'll be worth getting that game over from a boss I'll be coming back to fight later on in that unexplored cave. I have a disease. I've been in it for so long that I've been immune to its dastardly effects. After having played through a lot of Dynasty Warriors games, I am used to repetitive one-liners. It's like hearing a doorbell ring over and over and over again. Eventually you just get used to it after the 7 Dynasty Warriors games and it doesn't bother you anymore. Many criticize Navi and Fi from the Zelda series and Ashley Graham from Resident Evil 4. To be honest, none of these characters bothered me in the slightest, and I played through these games with no controllers broken. I understand that they do bother 95% of the gaming community, but since I've been going through the top 25 things that don't bother me personally, this one hit the number 18 spot. Fake difficulty is extremely lazy programming, and part of that knowing that comes from being a computer programmer myself. For those who don't know what fake difficulty is when a video game only amps up the enemy's health and increases the damage you take, and nothing else. Nothing new is added to the fray except longer times to kill something, which is irritating and insulting to a person's intelligence. After you beat a game, you want to play through it again on higher difficulties for a new challenge and keep the game enjoyable. But if you know the enemy attacks and surprises inside and out the first time through, there's no point playing through it if you're playing a long, boring director's cut of your first playthrough. If game developers slack on developing, then I'll slack on playing it. Sounds fair to me.
Yoo-hoo! Over here! Whoa! I am fully committed to this battle. It would be foolish of you to underestimate me. Hey, if you're such a warrior, then what's with the ball gown?
Herzog Zwei is a real-time strategy game on the Sega Genesis. It's a game where 2 players duke it out to level their opponent's main base, but there's a catch. You can easily reach the base yourself but can't do damage to it. Instead, you must build up resources to make attacks to attack the opponent and defend yourself from the onslaught. What's funny about Herzog Zwei is that it seems to know that it has bad AI programming behind the computer opponents by adding handicaps for the difficulty levels. There are 4 handicaps on each of the 8 levels, making 32 levels to beat in this game. On each increasing handicap, more advanced units are already prepped on the opponent's side of the battlefield to prevent you from getting close. Overall, what makes the game great is the music and challenge to knock the opponent from his throne while his persistent AI tries to cut through you. Trust me that the satisfaction is worth it when you blaze through the hardest difficulty of everything a player could possibly throw at you, and you still succeeded. You know, after a while, you played through Ocarina of Time loads of times. The experience in fight was good, but it's been worn down to death. Wind Waker was kind of the giant's knife for me. The humor lasted for a while, but I longed for that deep, immersive adventure that Ocarina of Time had a flair for. Then came Twilight Princess. Even today, even when Spirit Tracks and Skyward Sword are the most recent additions, Twilight Princess is still my top favorite Zelda game to date. The game is dark. Oh my goodness, it was Shadow Temple dark. But for me, I loved every single atmospheric moment in this game. It was the first time where I didn't care how easy a video game was. I was having too much fun crashing a giant chain ball into a boss, charging in on a chicken fight on the bridge, and enjoying the final boss scene that Ganondorf was bleeding off of. The game peaks with so many immersive and curious moments that it has become the perfect Zelda adventure for me. Nothing will ever top it.